Hi, my name is Kayla. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about a book called The Unfortunate Importance of Beauty by Amanda Philipacci. I have not read anything by this author before. I'm really drawn to the topic of beauty and our beauty standards and beauty ideals in society. So I was really excited to read a book that would be addressing that. I will say, right off the bat, it didn't address that topic all that well, in my opinion. Let's get into this. So for the summary, basically this book follows a main character named Barb, who is a costume designer. She is amazingly, stunningly beautiful, but wears a disguise that makes her look ugly. So she wears a fat suit and a wig and all of this stuff to make her look ugly. And she does this because one of her best friends, Gabriel, killed himself because he was so in love with her and thought she was so beautiful. So now she kind of, as a protective measure, I guess, wears this disguise to make her ugly. And she has this really tight-knit group of creative friends. Lily, Jack, Penelope, Georgia. Lily is on the other end of the spectrum. She is very, very ugly by most standards, I guess. Jack is an ex-cop who now works at an old folks home. Oh, and Lily is a composer, and she creates this beautiful, beautiful music. Jack works at an old folks home. Penelope has a pottery shop, and then her other friend Georgia is a novelist. So they've got this really tight-knit group of very creative friends. After he dies, Gabriel arranges for letters to be sent. So even though he is gone, Barb is receiving posthumous letters from Gabriel, and the last letter that he sends says that there's a killer among you, somebody who killed before, and he knew it because they had admitted it to him, and they're going to kill again. And who they're going to kill is Strad, who is Lily's love interest. Lily is crazy in love with Strad, but he is not interested in her physically. So whoever the killer is wants to kill him. But they've given just a window, and if they can't kill him within these 4 hours on this one specific day, then they're not going to do it. So they all spend a huge chunk of the book on this one specific day trying to make sure that Strad doesn't die. He doesn't die. And I have to be, okay, I'll wait and give my thoughts at the end. So they spend this window trying to make sure Strad doesn't die. He doesn't die. And then eventually Lily works on her music so much that she creates the ability to beautify herself through her piano music. So she plays this music and looks completely different. Strad falls in love with her. Obviously, eventually that falls apart and she has to tell him the truth, and he's not really into her anymore. It's just, there's so much that goes on that seems like it's not really relevant to the plot that I'm done with this summary, okay? If you want a better summary, I think you can just read it online somewhere, because I actually have to get right into my thoughts. Barb is so annoying, and I just have to say that this book had so much potential. It says it's supposed to be a satire, or at least a lot of people are taking it as a satire. This is not a good satire. A good satire has a little bit more subtlety to it, because this plot is so outlandish and involves a murder mystery, weird sci-fi aspects, really over-the-top romance plots. Because it's a little bit too over the top, I actually don't think it's a good satire. I would say the best satire kind of teeters on the edge of being palatable and a little bit too ridiculous. This is just a little bit too ridiculous, and actually it's a lot too ridiculous. That would be one of my main complaints, is that it says it's supposed to be a satirical commentary, I guess, on the importance of beauty in our society, but it's not satirical at all. What I think would have been a much better approach to this book would have actually been to have Lily be the main character and see the depths of how she feels being like a traditionally ugly woman in society. I think that by having the protagonist be beautiful, even if it's like secretly beautiful, is just reinforcing a lot of those ideals that I thought this book would address in a more nuanced and interesting way. So maybe I just had too high of expectations for it, but it definitely did not address that in the way that I thought it would. And I am actually shocked that some of the reviews from what I would say are very trustworthy sources are so positive, because I really felt that this didn't do what it needed to. So the tools were there for this to be a good book. I think that there were even some aspects that I can say were good. The climax in a lot of ways was well written. It gripped my attention, that's true. It just was all over the place. Man, was this scattered, chaotic, and not in a good way. It was just, it felt like a very scatterbrained novel. And I will say that Barb as a main character was not it. She was just not it. She was super annoying and actually pretty self-centered. Like, especially wearing her disguise after Gabriel's death, I think that it was very self-centered, that she thought it's all about me. And I know that he stated that as one of the reasons, or the main reason, but come on. We know that depression and things like that are so much more complicated. So after the death of Gabriel, she wears this suit because it's all about Barb. And then she also tries to act differently to make Lily feel better, which just seems like so self-centered, and it seems a little bit self-righteous. There's just something so unlikable about Barb. And as I stated before, I think having like this really secretly beautiful protagonist just kind of supports the idea that only classically beautiful women are worthy of being protagonists, even if they're in an ugly suit. I just don't like that. That doesn't sit well with me. Let's talk about how Penelope, Jack, and Georgia were all a little bit overlooked, and I thought that they were actually much more interesting than Barb. I actually thought they were also much more interesting than Lily. I felt that their characters could have been explored at least a little bit more, especially Georgia. Why weren't they? Suddenly it becomes a murder mystery. That's when things picked up. I thought that was really interesting. I thought that that was going to be going somewhere. No. That didn't go anywhere. In fact, they just randomly had a murder mystery in the middle of this, like from like here to here, and then it didn't amount to anything and wasn't really addressed again. Why even include that component? I'm actually struggling to understand why the murder mystery component was even included, and I liked it. It was probably the part I liked the best, but it didn't belong in this story, and it was dropped so quickly. Once that span of time was up and Strad didn't get murdered, it was just dropped. Like, excuse me? And then it was picked up again, okay, at the very end on page 324, they just casually are like, yeah,
Penelope's the killer.
They don't bring it up again for 150 pages and then just like basically spoon feed it to you, and it just doesn't matter in the end. So there's like that mystery component. Okay, after that it turns kind of sci-fi. Lily starts to be able to change appearance and beautify things with her music. It gets a little far-fetched. She was with Strad for so long before he started asking questions about why the music was always playing. Before he started asking questions about how when the music's not playing, she had a mask on. That seemed unrealistic. It's not even her musical beautification abilities. I guess my point is, I think that by having it be almost like magical realism murder mystery, romance. It's just too many things happening, and inevitably they didn't all like get tied up really well. The one part that probably should have been strong, which was the social commentary on beauty, was the weakest part of the novel. So I just don't understand. Because there are so many components going on, as I said before, the murder mystery type Killer Among Us component really was wrapped up and tied up so sloppily at the end that I stand by why even have it. I think a huge improvement for this book would have just been to cut that out altogether. The ending with the doorman I thought was well done, and I thought that also that ending really highlighted how self-centered Barb's character was. That she would always say, oh, I should get in my therapist card, and it was delayed so long, and she really didn't think to like report him, not for herself, but for like his safety or the safety of others, that she really didn't think that this behavior should be reported. That everybody tried to act like, oh, she's so virtuous for doing that. I'm like,
No,
that's really, really dangerous. Like, you need to report that type of behavior so that people can be safe. I just didn't like Barb. I didn't like the story. I can't recommend this to anybody. I don't know who would like it. And I know people have. I checked on Goodreads. There are people who liked it, and I'm not trying to say that you're wrong, but I just can't fathom like really enjoying this. I'm so sorry. I just can't. If you did like this book, I would be really interested to hear why. And like, no judgment. I would legitimately like to know what you liked about this book if you did enjoy it. But I just really did not enjoy it and probably wouldn't recommend it. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you later. Bye.